Well, hi everyone. I'm John Ritland, and this is a Netflix original two-pack review of A Fall from Grace and Uncorked. So, which one was good? Which one was bad? Which one did I like? Which one did I hate? I didn't hate either of these movies, but I'll get into more spoilers here in a little bit, like any of the double reviews I do. Of course, I do spoilers, bite-sized chunks, and all that. So this is your warning. I will say this. There are good elements of both, but one executes them a whole lot better. So there's your warning, basically. Can I say it? You shouldn't watch either of these movies. You give them both a shot, but you'll find out pretty quickly which one I liked. So let's start off with A Fall from Grace, directed by Tyler Perry. Yes, Medea. The guy that played Medea directed this. He's also in it as a character named Rory that runs a little small claims lawyer place that he gives the task of a case for a woman named Grace to somebody that's a bit of an understudy named Jasmine, played by Brescia Webb. And Grace is played by Crystal Fox in a pretty good role, I will admit. Also, Felicia Rashad is in this as a character Sarah. There's a character Shannon, played by Mehcad Brooks, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced some of these names. A character named Alice, Celia Tyson, and Jordan Bryant, Matthew Law. So, how was this movie? I gotta admit that it wasn't all that interesting at first, and then when they tried to reveal more stuff, it just kind of unraveled into silliness. It's like they had a whole bunch of setup, and they realized, oh shit, we only had 2 hours for a movie. Crap, let's cram everything relevant into the last 20 minutes, basically. So the idea is Grace Waters, that Chris Fox plays. She's on trial for murder. She wants to plead guilty. She knows what she did. She basically murdered a new lover, and everybody's trying to figure out why. Why in the world did this happen? Why did this sweet woman that's been through so much, she's a recent divorcee, meets this guy that everything seems to be going good, and then things unravel, and even though her life's spiraling out of control, people are like, she couldn't be driven to murder. Why would she even murder her, her now ex-husband, because they did get married? Why in the world would this be going on? Oh, it turns out that maybe there's this interwoven plot and people have been deceiving her and all this. And the problem is it's not very interesting. And even though the scenes with Grace and Jasmine actually are pretty good, as Jasmine is trying hard, but anytime she faces adversity, she gets really, really, like down the dumps and stuff like that and runs away. And her boss, Rory, has basically threatened to fire her when she takes on this case. She's supposed to just get a plea deal, because Grace wants to plead guilty and then take it to the DA, which he is, and then get all that through. And okay, hey, we're going to get to the DA, we're going to get all that, and that's going to be it. We're going to be done. No, Jasmine finds more about this, and it turns out that Grace actually didn't commit murder. Basically, the idea here is that she was set up by her friend Sarah, Felicia Rashad, and she's been running this household of, taking in elderly women, scamming them, and using her son to get middle-aged women to take money from. And guess who her son is? Oh, it's the new husband that Grace had. And yeah, it's a young guy that took an interest in her and basically treated her like a queen. And then it turned out it was all scam and stuff like that. And Grace went nuts and hit him in the head with a goddamn baseball bat at one point. And this is all told in flashbacks because Grace is in jail. And then all that unravels, and then it turns out, oh wait, Felicia Rashad's character, who is Grace's best friend, is actually running this scheme and all this stuff and everything. And there's a cop character, that, the character of Jordan Bryant that Matthew plays, and he's dating Jasmine, finds her in the house because she goes to the house because she figures out all this stuff, even though Grace is found guilty. She finds all this new evidence. Grace finds out that she was actually set up. She knows why. She suddenly remembers, and then, yeah, we find out all this stuff. It's like thrown in our goddamn face by the end, and it's pretty ridiculous. And it's funny because the cop puts the cuffs on Felicia Rashad. Okay. Then goes in, then he leaves her handcuffed, obviously with her hands behind her back, gets in a fight with the ex-husband, who somehow, after getting his head bashed in multiple times with a bat, bloodied and everything, dragged down some steps to a basement, is somehow okay. He's got bruising around his face because it's been a number of weeks and stuff like that, but somehow, weeks, months, whatever, somehow he's not dead despite taking a beating that would have killed somebody. And then he gets dispatched. Grace gets off scot-free. Oh, wait, Grace is like, well, what do you think about this being over? They're asking her, oh, it's not over. Because it turns out Sarah actually got away. Somehow, despite being handcuffed, nobody questioned why she got handcuffed. She got out of the handcuffs and then was suddenly able to just be, put in charge of another, like, elderly woman where she can continue the scam that her and her son have been doing despite the fact that her son is now dead. Yeah, in short, can't recommend. I'm bored. Let's talk about something I liked, like Uncorked. Uncorked was not a bad movie, directed by Prentice Perry in his feature film debut, and as Courtney B. Vance, and I wrote this name down, I'm probably going to screw it up, but Mamoudou Athie, he was in Underwater, actually in a pretty good role, and Niecy Nash. Niecy Nash, I knew I was probably going to screw that up. She was in Scream Queens, and easily one of the best parts of it, she was the cop. She was the cop in there, security guard, and she actually was really good comic relief. I wish they did a third season of Scream Queens, even though second season went off the rail. Anyway, back on topic. Mamadou, and again, I'm probably screwing that name up, plays the character of Elijah. He is working with his dad in a mom and pop diner that got passed down from his dad, Lewis, from his dad. So basically, grandpa to dad, and now he wants to pass it on to Elijah. But, however, Elijah's developing an affinity for wanting to study wine. He works at a wine shop and also works at the diner. He's, earning some money, and he figures out that he wants to become a wine steward, and it's a sommelier. And yeah, it took me a bit to actually pronounce that. I'm not going to lie. I actually had to listen to it in the movie to figure it out. But basically, he's torn. He wants to study wine. He wants to study his passion, but he also wants to help out his dad and help out the family business. And he also, because his mother and father are running this, Lewis and Sylvia, who's Niecy Nash's character. And the idea of this is, it's like typical stuff of like family bonding. They have their own things that they want to do. The sister is also involved, and there's some, good stuff with like Elijah finding a nice girl that they hit off really well. And there's some really good dialogue exchanges. It is about family, what you can expect from family. The family will always come together. And even though Lewis really wants him to take over the family business, eventually he thaws out, through a certain tragedy. Niecy Nash's character dies, basically. She dies of cancer while Elijah is in school. So yeah, that was a bit of a gut punch, like that happened and then it advances pretty quickly. But for a while, Niecy Nash is very bubbly, like she always is, very sassy and very driven. She wants to see her son succeed. And he eventually does get into school, and he does meet this weird cocky guy and stuff like that. That kind of gets thrown up. There's some characters, like one of my issues with the movie is it does have a lot of side characters that are just kind of there, not really fleshed out. It is focused mainly on the characters of Elijah, his family and stuff like that, and his girlfriend. And actually, those roles work out fine. Again, there are some side characters where, yes, you do need a supporting cast, but sometimes they feel just kind of there and just kind of stock. So, again, that is right there. At one point, Lewis even gets a second diner, opens up, he's going to open up this lavish one, managed to get through the bank, was like, had a bars thing, wanted to say, hey, Elijah, you want to study your stuff? You can still work in the diner and you can do this bar stuff. You could do this. So he does go to school. He does meet this girl, and he's studying with a group, and then they all agree, hey, we got this opportunity to go to Paris to, where our school is going to, send us over there. The problem is we got to pay it. So this cocky guy that he kind of warms up to, and that warms up to him, says, hey, let's split the cost. So he's over there. He kind of had to like really, really scrimp and save just to get up the money, just half the money to get over there. His family did help him out also. There are the usual cliches. One thing this movie has is heart, and it has quite a bit of heart. And it does dive into the stuff about wine tasting and stuff like that. I know nothing about wine. I'm straight edge. I don't drink alcohol. So I don't know how accurate this stuff is according to wine. But he delivered his lines well. He grasped the character just fine. Enough of the main characters were fleshed out. And well, the mother does die while he's over there studying. I think the timeline was a little weird because they were over in Paris, and he finds out his mother has cancer. Now she obviously doesn't have all that much time, and he comes back over, And obviously, and the mother has passed away. And it's very tragic. Goes to the wake, does this, trying to piece his life together and make sure, because losing a parent would not be easy. He tries to make sure that he still studies and that he does his test. And so he wants to help his dad. He starts helping his dad while still studying and stuff like that. He decides to withdraw from school, but he still decides to take the test. This is where things were a little bit muddy. I'm not quite sure, but I guess he was still able to take the test despite the fact he withdrew from school. Now, he did his best. He takes it. He doesn't pass. He did well, but he didn't quite pass. And he's helping his dad. And then, he's helping his dad with like the new shop and stuff like that and figuring out inventory. And he's still helping him, but he decides, I want to take another crack at it. I got to pursue my dream. And the closing shots are him in school studying that up and everything. I think he's having to start from scratch. I'm not totally sure. That is what I believe the school officials said, but I think he's having to start from scratch. They didn't make some things totally clear. However, he is pursuing his dream, and I will say that the acting was pretty good. By the three main characters, I said, the girl playing the girlfriend, she was fine as well. Everybody else was just kind of stuck, but they weren't bad. There was no bad acting in this movie. Uncorked, it is cliche, and again, there are some side characters and a few things that didn't necessarily work, but the movie had heart. Now, was it great? Great's kind of, a bit much, but I will definitely say a B. This movie is a solid B. It is quite good. It's not great. It has elements of greatness in it, and it has some things that hold it back, but the acting is, it's well-rounded as far as performances. So B, definitely. But yeah, a D for A Fall from Grace because it wasn't all that good. Anyway, do you agree? Do you disagree with what I said? Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.